I think that the contribution of subaltern peoples to colonial art have been invisible to our eyes for such a long time because we've been using the wrong lens, the wrong glasses to look at them. We've been looking through our own cultural eyes, and we're accustomed to European traditions of art making. We look for certain signs. It's a certain kind of language. And when we're confronted with art traditions that don't conform to the way we think we've been trained art should look, good art should look, we tend to ignore those art forms, or we call them primitive, we call them naive, we call them folk art. We have this kind of pejorative vocabulary. And it's not just everyday people, it's scholars, people who are trained art historians, for a long time have been arguing that colonial Latin American art, for the most part, it's a sort of second-class, second-rate artwork. It's not as fully sculpted, it's not as fully modeled, it's not as fully shaded, it's not as realistic and naturalistic. So for a long time, we've seen it as sort of a corroded second-hand form of a copy of European art. And that's really a form of cultural imperialism. Once we take off those glasses and put on glasses that are more in line with the cultural and historical traditions that these art objects come from, then we can start seeing things that were invisible to us previously. These artistic traditions, these cultural traditions, which began, well, you know, in the 16th century, but in some cases began even before European contact in the Americas, these traditions are still alive today. And artists, I'm not the only one, there are other artists who are looking at these traditions, so they're not dead. The conquest didn't kill anything, it just changed the visual vocabulary and cultural thinking a little bit. That visual vocabulary and that cultural thinking is still vibrant and still present today.